Now you can bring the arcade experience home because your vision is our vision. ColecoVision. You are the player, because your vision is our vision. The player.
Charlie. I play on ColecoVision.
You are the player.
Alright, now one of the problems that ColecoVision can have, as you can see on my screen here, I have some pixel artifacts. And that can usually be caused by a couple of things, but the most common problem is a dirty power switch. Now on the ColecoVision, there's two voltages that are switched by the power switch. We have a 12-volt supply and a 5-volt supply. So what we're going to do is, instead of cleaning the switch, which is one option, I'm going to install a new rocker switch. This is a Radio Shack switch. It's a part number 275691, dual pole, double throw switch. So let's get this thing installed. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is open the ColecoVision up. Now there are some screws on the bottom down here, all along the edges. And there's also two hidden screws right behind this sticker right here. However, I don't like trying to take this sticker off because once you take it off, it's near impossible to get back on again where it looks halfway decent. So there's a little trick to get the ColecoVision apart without taking off this faceplate right here with the two hidden screws on either side. So let's go ahead and open this thing up. Now we're going to remove the cases here without taking out the screws in the front. There are three hidden screws behind the sticker right here that if you take this apart, you end up screwing up your sticker. You never do get it back on right again. There is a trick of taking it apart without removing this front plate, which that's what I'm doing here. I got all the screws out. I flipped it over upside down, and you raise up the back end a little bit, and you push this piece this way while you pull this piece this way to get a gap started. Right here, you can see I got a gap right here right now. So I'll continue to work that gap across very carefully until I get the two halves separated. And as I pry up on the edge here, it'll pop right apart. See, here we go. So now I've got it apart without even having to take off the front bezel. It's a little tough to do. You have to be a little bit, rough with it a little bit. Don't get too crazy, but it should pop apart fairly simple if you do this little procedure. I'll put a link to a disassembly guide that someone put together in the show notes below that you can download and take a look at because it also explains how to take apart the ColecoVision. So now let's move on to the power switch. This guy way up here. Alright, now here's the stock power switch. It's just a double pole, double throw switch. You can see the connections underneath here. And typically over time, there's like dielectric grease that's inside of here. It dries out and the switch becomes intermittent. So it won't fully switch one of the two power rails, or it'll switch just a little bit of power, not enough, which can cause all kinds of graphical errors on your ColecoVision. So we're going to pop this circuit board out, get this switch all removed here. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to desolder all these solder connections you see right here holding this shield onto the circuit board, so we can move the case in order to move the circuit board here inside to get to the back side of this switch right here. So using a soldering iron, we're going to melt away each one of these little contacts all around the upper case. Alright, so now I've got the shield off. Just be very careful, go around the edges right here and desoldering all these little tabs onto the circuit board. Just take it nice and easy and it'll pop right apart for you. So now you have the circuit board exposed. So now I can take out this last remaining screw right here in the middle to pull the circuit board out, flip it over, and get access to this switch here to take it apart. So I got the circuit board out, flipped over. I need to do the same thing with this lower board to desolder these little solder connections here, so I can pull the bottom part of this off so I can solder to the back side of the switch. So let's do that now. Now I've got the rear shield off the bottom of the circuit board, so now I get access to the bottom of my switch right here. If you look really close, you can see right here's one power rail, here's the other power rail. You want to make sure you don't get these crossed over with each other, because what you'll do is you end up putting 12 volts onto the 5-volt circuit and you'll damage your video chips. So you want to make definitely sure you get these wired up correctly to your new switch. So now let's take apart the old switch here. Now I got the switch body off. You can see how nasty those contacts in there, especially this one right here. That one's really nasty. What that'll do is that'll cause a voltage drop across this switch, which starves your video circuits, causes all those graphical artifacts and everything. So now let's go ahead and get this piece removed from the circuit board, and then we'll begin to install the new rocker switch. Now we've got the old switch removed, got the holes all cleaned out here, ready to take my new wires for my new switch. Now I'm going to cut my wire to go between the switch and the circuit board. Now what I want to do is for one side of the switch, for one voltage leg, I'm going to use black wire, probably for the 5-volt supply. And then for the other side of the switch, for the 12-volt leg, I'm going to use orange wire. So if I connect on back of my switch here, if I connect orange here, black there, I don't have to worry about them crossing over. So it's good to color code your wires to make sure you don't make the mistake. So I want to cut, approximately, maybe 12 inches of wire here, maybe a little longer, so I have room to take the thing all apart again if I'll do some other modifications in the future, because I do plan on doing an AV mod to this ColecoVision as well. This is the ColecoVision I use for the ColecoVision's podcast, so I'm going to use this as the mule to do all kinds of modifications to for all these different videos. Anyway, so let's cut the wire, get it soldered into the circuit board, and then we'll mount the new rocker switch. There we go. Orange to orange on one side, black and black on the opposite side. So now I'll connect this to one side of my switch on one pole, and the black's on the other side of my new rocker switch. Now what's neat about this new rocker switch is it pretty much will fill this entire hole on its own and look pretty much stock once you install it. So that's really cool. So I want to solder my wires on first, then I'm going to push it into the hole and get it mounted and screw the screw on. So you want to make sure you put the lock nut through the wires first before you solder the wires on, so you can lock everything down. So let's do that next. Now before I install the wires to my switch, I want to make sure I reattach the lower shield to the circuit board and resolder all these connections on the side to ground this. So make sure you do that before you install the circuit board back into the machine. Alright, now the circuit board is mounted back in again. We'll feed our little lock nut here for the new switch through our wires so we don't forget it. There we go. So there we go. That's all fed through. There we go. Alrighty, now we need to put this through the top case and then install our new switch. Now before I hook up my switch, I went ahead and got the top shield reinstalled. Made all my little solder connections again here to ground the shield to the circuit board all the way around. Got my switch wire sitting here. Right here's the nut for the back of the switch, fed through the wires. So now let's feed these through the top case, hook them up to the new switch, get everything mounted back together again. There's the back of the new switch. Orange is on one side, black on the other side to keep the voltages separate. So now let's go ahead and put it back in the case and put this all back together. Now in order to get the back of the nut to fasten to your switch, you need to break off these two vertical pieces on either side of the old switch housing right there. That's so you can screw this thing down and mount the new switch into place. And there's the new switch mounted in the ColecoVision. As you can see, it pretty much fills the hole perfectly. It kind of looks like it was always meant to be there. So let's give this thing a try now with the new switch. And let's flip on the switch. Awesome. As you can see, there's no artifacts at all appearing on the screen right now. I hate this 12-second delay. I need to do the BIOS mod on this thing. And there we go. All the graphical glitches are gone. So you have two choices. You can either clean the original switch if you want to keep it looking original, or you can do the modification I just did and put that new power switch in. Now, I don't recommend doing this if you're not very good at soldering. Also, make sure you observe all safety precautions on handling electrical equipment as well. So you gotta be careful doing this. Anyway, thanks for watching.
You are the player, because your vision is our vision. The player.
Sorry. I play on ColecoVision.
You are the player. You are the player.
Sorry. I play on ColecoVision.
You are the player. You are the player. The player. The player.
Go, you little plumber, go. Run, run, run! Run like the wind. Ah, miss me. Oh, 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 oh. Ah. Oh. Come on, get to the top. Get to the top. Run, little Mario, run. Diddly-ding. Boing.